I left the house today without my phone. Not on purpose, but by accident. And you will never guess the sequence of horrors that happened to me today. Well, to tell the truth, that's right, absolutely nothing happened. Well, not in the external world, but in my internal world, everything happened. And I wonder really, should I have been surprised about that? And I do think that there is something worth unpacking here. There is something deeper to this than first meets the eyes. You might be thinking, as I'm sure you are, big deal, you left the house without your phone. But I don't think I've ever really done this before for a long time, as I've been really thinking about screen time by accident. Sure, I've left it behind in the past and gone down into the town, but I've always done it through choice. But doing it by accident makes one heck of a difference. Here's how it happened, just a little bit of background. You see, the weather recently has been absolutely rubbish, and there's been a bit of illness in the house. And the poor old dog, Daisy, meet Daisy. Well, she just wasn't getting a proper chance to, you'd say, discharge her battery, and she was getting listless, and I think she was getting a little bit depressed. She really needed a good run. So I decided to take her to the beach, and as with all dogs, as soon as you grab the lead, there's a lot of commotion, a lot of excitement. So I gathered all her bits and pieces, and in the hassle and the haste and the enthusiasm to get out the door, the phone got left behind in its cage where I keep it here in my study. As ever, departing the house, I touched my pocket before leaving as I was closing the door, just to confirm that it was there. Seemed to be. But about 5 minutes further down the road, I noticed that CarPlay wasn't connected. That's odd, I thought. Then it dawned on me. Oh no. I'd left it behind. And what had actually been in my pocket was my notebook, which maybe I've talked about before. And immediately I was starting to get waves from, I suppose, that threat management part of the brain, with sort of anxious looping passing through, going, just troubling me, because I hadn't even told my wife where it was going. And I was like, what if she needs to reach me? Or what if she's taken unwell? Or what if my daughter who's at work, what if she needs to reach me? And what if there's a family emergency? Maybe I might crash on the way here to the beach. And what if the car, when I get to the beach on the way home, what if it won't start? Look, you get the point. I'm sure there was a lot of other natural disaster scenarios playing out, but underneath it all was something else as well. There was a sharp annoyance at having forgotten my connection to the world. So at this stage, obviously with what I've been talking about and everything, I carried on. I didn't even go back home. And the beach, as you can imagine, was cold, blustery and glorious, as only Irish beaches could be. But interestingly, the intrusive thoughts at moments still kept breaking through. There was definitely an unease that I was experiencing at having forgotten the phone. I was replaying these things in my mind about how people might be annoyed at me for not responding if they've been trying to reach me, that I had maybe been irresponsible. And on the drive home, I really started to think about the power of the digital tether and how much it must take out of us psychologically. We are never, or at least most of us are never, or very rarely free from its grip. And when we are forcibly connected, as I was, I noticed it provoked a really strong sense of vulnerability and exposure. And two hot buttons were being pressed simultaneously for me. The first was the fear of the people being irritated at me because I wasn't able to jump to attention the moment they text or called. And the second, I think, was the fear that had something gone wrong with me or the family, that I wouldn't have been able to deal with it effectively. And that challenged that sort of, I guess, that responsible side of me. And this made me also think about some of the other videos that I've been producing over the last couple of weeks, especially about this idea of exploring rest and having peace. And I was really intrigued about why I was feeling so unsettled and so disturbed. And I was then thinking about, I wonder, does this digital tether have a more profound psychological disturbance that actually ends up draining us of energy on a day-to-day level? Give it a go yourself. Take a day, go to work without your phone or wherever you go for a day, And if you're as hooked into the system as me, tell me you don't feel the dread and disorientation that I felt today. I really wonder how much is being stolen from us just by being tethered to our devices and the communications technology. Even if you're in its presence, I still think it has a weight and an influence on you. Now, here's a test, and you can do this right now. Even if your phone isn't with you, wherever you are, maybe you're watching this on a TV, I bet you know exactly where your phone is and could track it down in a moment. It's tethered to us. It's almost become part of us. It's like a limb. I remember in the early days, probably way back in about 2000, probably 19, whatever, I first got my phone, 1999. I remember losing a phone. And I think that was probably because I wasn't used to carrying it everywhere. But the idea of losing a phone now is almost inconceivable to me, given how integrated it has become in my life. And I think what stood out today, it was all about this question of control that it exerted over me. I wasn't choosing to be unreachable, but I was unreachable. And I say this strange, this is more of a me problem, but the concern that people might be irritated, or I might miss something important, or fail to show up when I was needed, or maybe I'm going to let people down by not dealing with things immediately. So when I got home, I walked sort of nervously up the steps and got to the door. I almost imagined an anxious gathering of people nervously waiting my arrival in the hallway. When I walked through the door, nothing. There was no welcoming committee. Went into the kitchen and my wife was sitting in there at the table, and she looked up at me rather uninterestedly and said, "Where'd you go? Did you have a nice time?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I went upstairs to find my phone in the little cage. Not a single missed call, not a single message. And right there, that's when it landed with me. I had been giving away a huge amount of mental energy for absolutely nothing. I had lost presence, peace, and attentiveness, not because anything had happened, but because of what might have happened and my connection with the phone and how that would inform me of what was happening and my, I suppose, that desire to stay relevant and connected to the world. And this troubles me, and I know I'm not alone in this. Communication technology is hollowing us all out, and we talk a lot about the financial cost of technology, the subscriptions, the upgrades, the contracts. But I've never actually heard many people talking about the mental lease that we have signed. That's the constant background vigilance, that low-grade readiness. It's the obligation to be reachable, to be responsive at a given moment. And I wonder, do we really know, or have we measured how much this costs us? Because it never shows up on any bill anywhere. But today, curiously, and I think because I'm thinking about this topic a lot, I really got an inside seat to this. Nothing happened in the world. Nothing changed. Nothing significant in my world anyway. And yet something had been quietly extracted from me all the same. That right there, I think that's the real story. What is being extracted from us?